So, what if I told you that our entire modern idea of freedom, the ability to swipe away, quit, keep all our options open, what if I told you it's actually a trap? That the real, liberating kind of freedom isn't found in escaping at all, but in the one thing we're all taught to fear: commitment. Okay, let's dive into this, because it's a big one. This right here, this is the core idea we're going to explore. It's from the Russian philosopher Nikolai Bergier. And what he's saying is that freedom isn't about running away from things. It's about the incredible power to run towards something and really truly bind yourself to it. I know, it's a radical thought in our world of non-commitment, but it might just be the secret to a much more meaningful life. All right, so first we have to understand the culture we're all swimming in. A culture that's totally built on what you could call the myth of escape. We've somehow become addicted to this idea that just being in motion is progress, and that having an exit door is always the ultimate prize. Sound familiar? I mean, we've basically been trained to see freedom in these little actions. Swiping left on a dating app, freedom. Quitting a job the second it gets hard, freedom. Ghosting a friend to skip a tough conversation, or just scrolling endlessly to escape whatever you're feeling in the moment. We call all of this liberation, right? We think we're keeping our options open. But are we really? Well, here's the twist. A life with no strings attached, with no anchor holding you down, isn't actually a life of freedom. It's a life of drifting. You just get pushed around by the currents of every whim and distraction, not by your own deliberate choice. You're not steering the ship, you're just floating. So, what's the real psychological cost of this so-called freedom? Well, it turns out that having endless options doesn't empower us. In fact, a lot of the time, it kind of breaks us. And psychologists actually have a name for this hidden cost: the paralysis of choice. And, this isn't just some philosophical theory. It's a documented psychological thing. Research on choice overload, pioneered by Dr. Barry Schwartz, proves that when we're faced with way too many options, we don't feel liberated. We feel paralyzed. And here's the kicker. Even when we do finally make a choice, we end up less satisfied because our brains are just haunted by all the other maybes we didn't pick. So when you look at it side by side, the trade-off becomes super clear. On one hand, unlimited options. They sound great, but they lead to paralysis, to constant regret, and really to just drowning in noise. But on the other hand, deep commitment. That gives you direction, it simplifies your life by cutting out all the distractions, and it lets you live with a clear, powerful purpose. And get this isn't just a feeling or a psychological state. This choice has a real, measurable effect on our brains. We can actually see it in the hard science of devotion. Think about it like this. A brain that's constantly pivoting, always new jobs, new partners, new paths, that's a brain in chaos. It's basically locked in a low-grade fight-or-flight mode with spikes in the stress hormone, cortisol. But a committed brain, that's a whole different story. Brain scans show it lights up the prefrontal cortex. That's our hub for meaning and decision-making. It leads to neurological stability and a really sharp, sustained focus. You're literally building a stronger, more coherent brain. Okay, so all of this is pointing to this central, kind of beautiful paradox. Real freedom is actually found in limitation. I know it sounds completely backward, but this is exactly how we discover who we really are. It's how our identity gets formed. Just think about it in these very real terms. The artist who dabbles in painting, then moves to clay, then to digital art, but never really commits to mastering one, they never become a master. They just stay potential. Or the partner who always keeps one foot out the door. They're never fully present in the relationship. And the spiritual seeker who jumps from one belief system to the next. They never find a path. They just stay lost in a marketplace of ideas. You see? Refusing to choose is its own kind of prison. So how do we break out of this prison of just being potential? Well, let's think about Michelangelo. He's standing in front of this giant, formalist block of marble. How on earth does he find the masterpiece that's hiding inside? He doesn't add anything to it. He takes away. He subtracts every single piece of marble that is not the sculpture. The masterpiece is revealed through elimination, through limitation. And right there, that's the crucial insight for our own lives. You are that block of marble. Your identity, your masterpiece of a life, isn't found by adding more and more options, more experiences. It's carved out by courageously choosing what you're going to commit to. And in doing that, subtracting all the other paths you could have taken. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it?
How do we move from just understanding this idea to actually living it? Let's get practical.
So here are 4 steps to start practicing this. First, start questioning your exits. Every time you want to bolt, ask yourself, am I running towards something better or am I just running away from discomfort? Second, choose one deep thing, a relationship, a craft, a cause, whatever, and just devote yourself to it long enough for it to actually change you. Third, you gotta redefine what freedom even means to you. It's not about having no rules, it's about choosing which rules are worth living by. And finally, and this one might be the hardest, stay put when it gets boring or difficult. That resistance, that heat, that's the forge where real transformation happens.
Ultimately, this whole thing comes down to a single defining choice. The modern world is always asking us, what are you going to escape from? But the much more powerful question is, what will you choose to stand inside of?
Because in the end, your legacy isn't going to be measured by the number of doors you kept open or the exits you took. It's going to be defined by what you chose to stand inside of, that one thing you committed to so deeply for so long that it fundamentally changed who you are. So I'll just leave you with that. Don't ask what you want to be free from. Ask yourself right now, what is so meaningful, so important, so essential to you that it is worth binding your entire life to? Because that is the beginning of real freedom.